Okay, moving on to day 4 then. We're starting to rattle through this. I do appreciate this is one of our longer podcasts that we will ever do. The men's 100 meters butterfly. This is a Swift nomination standard, 51.56. I don't think it's Swift in terms of world swimming. You got to go sub 51 these days, really, to be considered.
I know, that's incredible, isn't it?
That is fast.
Honestly, this event in the world has just gone leaps and bounds. It's honestly amazing. Yeah.
I had a dream. Which sounds really weird.
Right,
I had a dream Jacob Peters goes sub 51 in this. I don't know where it came from. I think I went to bed reading about no ponting and somehow imagined Jacob Peters went a sub 51. But I just have this feeling that last year was like the snowball went over the hill, if that makes sense. So he's now rolling. They've figured out what works in terms of what he does out of the pool. There's a lot of stuff he does in the gym rather than in the pool. And it just seemed to have clicked. And I feel like it's coming on, and he's, to me, the favourite over Jimmy Guy in this.
I would agree. Yeah, now he is, I think. Yeah. Although I'd never bet against Jimmy not to win, because he's just honestly one of the best swimmers we've ever produced. And he's got a very good chance of not just winning, but hitting nomination time as well and going to another Olympic Games. I suppose would you call it unfortunate because he could have won a bronze at Tokyo, but then
should have,
kind of gave up that opportunity to almost nail on an Olympic gold in the relay, which I think most people would probably do. I think the top 2 maybe, but you said about Ed Mildred earlier.
Yeah, I feel like this might be the event. Like he's only 0.4 off the nomination standard.
He is, yeah.
But then he's got Jacob and Jimmy ahead of him, which might be the issue.
And then you've got Jamie Ingram behind him and Lewis Fraser as well, who's also swimming very well recently.
Yeah, and Josh Gammon's not even in that top 5.
I know, yeah. It's quite a deep event.
Yes,
we just need some of our guys to go low. Well, low 51s really.
With sub 51 really.
If you're going to make an impact on the world stage, I agree. Yeah, the event has just moved on. It's quite incredible. Jacob Peters, I think he is the favourite to win this one. Like you say, everything's clicking. He's got broader. He's just got bigger. The stuff he's doing in the gym is clearly working, and I think he's found his event. I think he started off with a 200 flyer, then we thought he was a 50-meter swimmer because that was going quite well, but the 100 now seems to be perfect.
Yeah,
and I think it's all tied in quite nicely, and I'm quite excited to see what he does. Actually, hopefully your dream comes true.
Oh god, this is the weirdest depth of the podcast. If you've got to this point, it was literally like 2 days ago. I think I must have gone to bed scrolling Instagram, and No Ponting and Jacob Peters were like in my scroll. It just merged into one.
That's it. Yeah.
Because obviously No Ponting's gone sub 51. Mixed classification side, we're repeating ourselves from day 3. It's Will Allard and Stephen Clegg who are the class of the Paraside in the 100 butterfly. Could other names on the Paraside make it down to the nomination times? I mean, it's a stretch. These times are fast.
They're quick,
They're really fast. It's really only those 2 who have a shot for me.
Yeah, I mean, Stephen Clegg, he might have a whole host of events that he could swim at the Paralympics.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of expect him to do all of them. And it's still like different strokes as well, like the freestyle, backstroke, fly. He can do it all. It's quite incredible. And then Will Ellard, if he's able to hit a world record on the day before as well, then that might just be the kickstart, the fire that in him to be able to hit this 100 fly time as well. I wouldn't put it past him, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Amazingly, Rhys Dunn has the world record for the 100 butterfly in a 54.4. What a swimmer Rhys Dunn was.
Jeez, that is so fast.
It's really faster than me and you have ever gone in the pool.
Oh, God, by miles.
Women's 400 metres freestyle then. Nomination standard of a 4:04.98, which is fast.
Yeah, that's quick.
An event I actually don't think any swimmer gets close to that time. It's a weird event. 400 looks a little empty, but potentially there's names coming through like Amelie. Leah Crisp is racing this, I believe, but she's qualified for open water, so that's the focus. This is, I think she's only here for the 4 and the 8. Just 404's too far. Freya Colbert's decided not to race this one, looking elsewhere. Yeah, it's
just one of
I'm
those.
I'm finding this one hard to preview. It's one of few.
Well, it's one of those events, a little bit like the men's 200 fly, where the nomination time just looks just out of reach. It's just a bit too quick. Every country goes through its phases, doesn't it? Where, well, we spoke about it on the men's 100 backstroke, where we were in a bit of a dry spell for the last 9 years, but now suddenly it's come back again, and it just seems like this women's 400 free it's short at the moment. It's just not quite there. Maybe that will change. We said this about the women's distance side, and now that's suddenly started to pick up.
Yeah,
but the 400 is a bit of a weird event. It's not distance, but it's not a sprint either. It's kind of a weird in the middle sort of event.
Yeah, there's swimmers in British swimming that I feel like could hit this time. A bit like the men's side, if Max Litchfield decided to swim the men's 4-3, I feel like he could hit that time. Possibly, it's just not going for it because Olympic-wise, it's just so tough.
Schedule-wise, it's a pain.
Yeah, it's not even schedule-wise. Just to hit the podium, you've got to go sub-4, which that's another level beyond. So
this event on the world stage is kind of, the medals have already gone really, haven't
they? Well...
Fairweather's doing quite well from New Zealand.
Yeah, Fairweather's doing all right.
Maybe I'll take that back a bit. But going back to British states here.
I think that's why swimmers like Freya Anderson, if she was healthy, just don't look at it. That's why Freya Colbert just hasn't looked at it. She's looked at the 4 a.m. and the 2-3 and 2 a.m. because those are the more open opportunities. I think that's the logic, and I get it.
The entry times of all these girls are actually quite
it does
close.
make for a good race.
So the race itself will actually be quite interesting. It's not going to be your sort of... I suppose it's going to be a little bit of a dampener because they're not going to be able to hit the nomination time, I suppose. But the race itself is going to be very exciting.
Fair play. If one does hit the nomination time, we look like idiots.
If they do, then that's the swim of the meet.
Yeah.
Right there and then.
Yeah. Mixed classification 400 metres freestyle. There are plenty of swimmers who can go underneath the nomination time. Tony Shaw, Brock Winston, S9, S8 will be odds on to hit the time and qualify for the Paris Paralympics. Lily Rice in S8 as well is not far off the nomination standard. I think she's about 2 seconds. Faye Rogers, we'll get to her a little bit more later on. S10 swimmer who is fantastic at butterfly. But she is underneath the 4 freestyle nomination standard, even though it's not her favoured event. And then elsewhere, maybe improvements from S11 swimmer Scarlett Humphrey. We've already talked about her on this podcast. She could well give the time a run for its money if all goes right. Like, she's still young. She's still very much improving every time she swims. Yeah.
It's interesting on the able-bodied side where we are sort of lacking. But then when it comes to the Paris side, my word, we are like absolutely laughing. Like Tony Shaw and Brock Winston are like some of the best swimmers in the world at this event.
Yeah,
I know Faye Rogers is better suited to fly, but she's also very strong at this event. And then you've mentioned Lily Rice already, very young, coming through, Welsh swimmer. If she can knock off 2 seconds on her time, then she's going to the Paralympics as well. So, yeah, it's a very interesting race, and I can't wait to watch that one as well.
And then straight after that, we have another mixed classification race in the men's 50 metres breaststroke, where Harvey Phillips and Lyndon Longhorn again go head-to-head. I believe the nomination time for them in this, they are SB3 instead of S4. So they lower down their classification for breaststroke. They've got to hit a 49.95. So a little bit like before, that's quite hard to hit.
Yeah, they're going to find 10 seconds or so.
Yeah.
Or 5-10 seconds, yeah.
But again, there might be some relay considerations coming into play, which there certainly is for the other competitor, Will Perry. Very, very popular swimmer, Will Perry. We love talking to him on poolside, and we will catch up with him at British Champs. He's got no nomination qualifying standard for his classification, but there are relay chances for him. That's why he's swimming it.
Well, I reckon he'll go for a British record as well. It's his British record, I believe, as well. So he might just go for that too. Yeah.
Nice. And then the women's 200 metres backstroke. No Freya Colbert in this one, but that doesn't mean that we can't have 2 swimmers going underneath the nomination standard, a 2:08.91. And I think there's potentially 3 swimmers who could get there. And I know 2 already are underneath that with personal best and what they swam this year in Casey Shanahan and Honey Osrin. I just wouldn't count Maddie Harris out.
No, she just seems to be like one of the more versatile swimmers that we have right now. And that she pulls it out of the bag every single time. I don't think the 200 backstroke is... Well, I could be wrong with saying this. I don't know if this is her strongest event. But if she can hit the nomination time and find... I mean, she's entered on a 2:10.5. I can't remember off the top of my head if she's gone faster than that or not.
No, that's pretty much her PB.
That is her PB, yeah. So she's got to find nigh on 2 seconds, 1.5, 2 seconds. which is a big ask. And I just don't know if she's going to put all her eggs in this basket for the 200 backstroke.
You might be right. She might have seen what Honey Osrin did at Bucks, which was super impressive to already go under this.
Yeah.
And
what was really interesting, because I think, she thinks that she can go quicker.
Yeah, I think there was whispers on poolside that she took it out slower than she planned.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
That's amazing. Looking forward to that. I think
Can she beat Katie Shanahan?
I don't think so. I think Katie Shanahan is the class act in this event. And I think she'll not only hit the nomination time, but I think she'll hit a PB as well, which would be then a Scottish record. But it's up to Honey if she can kind of stay with Casey, because Casey's quite good at the back end speed as well, isn't she? So
it's crazy to me that Honey Osrin, with like 2 months ago, no one would have said she'd make the Olympic team. Now me and you are like, yeah, she can get that time. She's on.
If the pressure doesn't get to her and she just swims it like any other normal race, then I think she'll go. Yeah.
The men's 200 meters individual medley, then, I think the last able-body race of the day on day 4. Top 2 swimmers in this, Duncan Scott, Tom Dean, both well capable of going underneath the nomination standard of a 156.49. They've both won world medals on this. I think it's just who gets the hand on the wall first between these two.
To be champion, obviously, and it's a case of just getting picked for Paris, of which I think both of them will do so.
I think this is the open door that both of them make the team. Some of the other routes are really... They're tough, but they're both capable of making the team in those events. I wouldn't write them off, but this looks like, this is the surefire, book your ticket to Paris. This is the one.
I think so. Yeah.
Unless maybe Max Litchfield or Joe Litchfield throws a real big spanner in the works. I think these two are the class above.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying for a while now that these two are the top guys in the 200 Ironman, and confidently say that they will be on the plane in this event, plus probably the 200 free as well. And then you never know the 100 free as well. But this is really the absolute nailed-on event for me that they go. The nomination time is, for them, relatively comfortable. And like you say, they're world medalists, so they should probably be on the plane regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who wins?
I'm going to go Duncan. Again, kind of because I just don't know where Tom is. Well, they both go. They both hit the time, but I think Duncan gets the title.
Then the mixed classification 200 meters individual medley. The strength in this is going to come again from the S14 swimmers. So Rhys Darby, Cameron Verncombe, and again Will Ellard. They look like the strongest contenders for hitting the time. For them, they've got to go a 2:12.9.
Yep. Of which I believe they're all underneath it.
Yeah,
as
all
well.
three. All three.
Yeah. So I would expect them all to hit the time. And of course, it's the top 3, isn't it, for Paris swimmers? So we're kind of hoping that all 3 of them hit the time and they all get on the plane for Paris.